Hey there, it's Willy Wonka. So we are reading in chapters 13 and 14. So hopefully you'll follow along with me. Chapter 13, The Big Day Arrives. The sun was shining brightly on the morning of the big day, but the ground was still white with snow and the air was very cold. Outside the gates of Wonka's factory, enormous crowds of people had gathered to watch the five lucky ticket holders going in. The excitement was tremendous. It was just before 10 o'clock. The crowds were pushing and shouting, and policemen with arms linked were trying to hold them back from the gates. Right beside the gates, in a small group that was carefully shielded from the crowds by the police, stood the five famous children, together with the grown ups who had come with them. The tall, bony old figure of Grandpa Joe could be seen standing quietly among them. And beside him, holding tightly onto his hand, was little Charlie Bucket himself. All the children except Charlie had both their mothers and fathers with them, and it was a good thing that they had, otherwise, the whole party might have gotten out of hand. They were so eager to get going with their parents, were having to hold them back by force to prevent them from climbing over the gates. Be patient, cried the fathers. Be still, it's not time yet. It's not 10 o'clock. Behind him, Charlie Bucket could hear the shouts of the people in the crowd as they pushed and fought to get a glimpse of the famous children. There's Violet Beauregard, he heard someone shouting. That's her, all right. I can remember her face from the newspapers. And you know what? Somebody else shouted back. She's still chewing that dreadful old piece of gum she's had for 3 months. You look at her jaws, they're still working on it. Who's the big boy? That's Augustus Gloop. So it is. Enormous. Fantastic. Who's the kid with the picture of the Lone Ranger stenciled on his windbreaker? That's Mike TV. He's the television fiend. He must be crazy. Look at all those crazy things he's got hanging all over him. The one I want to see is Veruca Salt, shouted another voice in the crowd. She's the girl whose father bought up a 500,000 candy bars and then made the workers in his peanut factory unwrap every single one of them until they found a golden ticket. He gives her anything she wants, absolutely anything. She's only has to start screaming for it to, and she gets it. Dreadful, isn't it? Shocking, I call it. Which do you think is her? That one over there on the left, the little girl in the silver mink coat. Which one is Charlie Bucket? Charlie Bucket? He must be the skinny little shrimp standing beside the old fellow who looks like a skeleton, right close to us. Just there, see him? Why hasn't he got a coat on in this cold weather? Don't ask me, maybe he can't afford to buy one. Jeepers, he must be freezing. Charlie, standing only a few paces away from the speaker, gave Grandpa Joe's hand a squeeze, and the old man looked down at Charlie and smiled. Somewhere in the distance, a church clock began striking 10. Very slowly, with a loud creaking of rusty hinges, the great iron gates of the factory began to swing open. The crowd became suddenly silent. The children stopped jumping about. All eyes were fixed upon the gates. There he is, somebody shouted. That's him. And so it was. Chapter 14, Mr. Willy Wonka himself. Mr. Wonka was standing all alone just inside the open gates of the factory. And what an extraordinary little man he was. He had a top hat on his head. He wore a tailcoat made of beautiful plum colored velvet. His trousers were bottle green. His gloves were pearly gray. And in one hand he carried a fine gold top walking cane. Covering his chin there was a small neat pointed black beard, a goatee. And his eyes were most marvelously bright. They seemed to be sparkling and twinkling at you all at the time. The whole face, in fact, was alight with fun and laughter. And oh, how clever he looked. How quick and sharp and full of life. He kept making quick, jerky little movements with his head. He was like a squirrel in the quickness of his movements, like a quick, clever old squirrel from the park. Suddenly, he did a funny little skipping dance in the snow, and he spread his arms wide, and he smiled at the 5 children who were clustered near the gates, and he called out, "Welcome, my little friends. Welcome to my factory." His voice was high and fluty. "Will you come forward one at a time, please?" He called out, "And bring your parents. Then show me your golden ticket and give me your name. Who's first?" The big boy stepped up. "I'm Augustus Gloop," he said. "Augustus!" cried Mr. Wonka, seizing his hand and pumping it up and down with terrific force. "My dear boy, how good to see you. Delighted, charmed, overjoyed to have you with us. And these are your parents? How nice. Come on in, come in. That's right, step through the gates." Mr. Wonka was clearly just as excited as everybody else. "My name," said the next child to go forward, "is Veruca Salt. My dear Veruca, how do you do? What a pleasure this is. You do have an interesting name, don't you? I always thought that a verruca was sort of a wart that you got on the sole of your foot, but I must be wrong, mustn't I? How pretty you look in that lovely mink coat. I'm so glad you could come. Dear me, this is going to be such an exciting day. I do hope you enjoy it. I'm sure you will. I know you will. Your father, how are you, Mr. Salt? And Mrs. Salt, overjoyed to see you. Yes, the ticket is quite in order. Please go in." The next 2 children, Violet Beauregard and Mike TV, came forward to have their tickets examined and then to have their arms practically pumped off their shoulders by the energetic Mr. Wonka. And last of all, a small nervous voice whispered, "Charlie Bucket." "Charlie," cried Mr. Wonka, "well, well, well. So there you are. You're the one who found your ticket only yesterday, aren't you?" "Yes, yes, I read all about it in this morning's papers. Just in time, my dear boy. I'm so glad, so happy for you. And this, your grandfather? Delighted to meet you, sir. Overjoyed, enraptured, enchanted. All right, excellent. Is everybody in now? 5 children? Yes, good. Now will you please follow me? Our tour is about to begin. But do keep together. Please don't wander off by yourselves. I shouldn't like to lose any of you at this stage of the proceedings. Oh dear me, no." Charlie glanced back over his shoulder and saw the great iron gate entrance slowly closing behind him. The crowds on the outside were still pushing and shouting. Charlie took a last look at them. Then, as the gates closed with a clang, all sight of the outside world disappeared. "Here we are," cried Mr. Wonka, trotting along in front of the group. "Through these big red doors, please. That's right, it's nice and warm inside. I have to keep it warm inside the factory because of the workers. My workers are used to an extremely hot climate. They can't stand the cold. They'd perish if they went outdoors in this weather. They'd freeze to death." "But who are these workers?" asked Augustus Gloop. "All in good time, my dear boy," said Mr. Wonka, smiling at Augustus. "Be patient. You shall see everything as we go along." "Are all of you inside? Good. Would you mind closing the door? Thank you." Charlie Bucket found himself standing in a long corridor that stretched away in front of him as far as he could see. The corridor was so wide that a car could easily have been driven along it. The walls were pale pink. The lighting was soft and pleasant. "How lovely and warm," whispered Charlie. "I know, and what a marvelous smell," answered Grandpa Joe, taking a long, deep sniff. All the most wonderful smells in the world seemed to be mixed up in the air around them. The smell of roasting coffee, and burnt sugar, and melting chocolate, and mint, and violets, and crushed hazelnuts, and apple blossom, and caramel, and lemon peel. And far away in the distance, from the heart of the great factory, came a muffled roar of energy, as though some monstrous, gigantic machine were spinning its wheels at breakneck speed. "Now this, my dear children," said Mr. Wonka, raising his voice along the noise, "this is the main corridor. Will you please hang your coats and hats on those pegs over there, and then follow me? That's the way. Good. Everyone ready? Come on then. Here we go." He trotted off rapidly down the corridor, with the tails of his plum-colored violet coat flapping behind him, and the visitors all hurried after him. It was quite a large party of people when you came to think of it. There were 9 grown-ups and 5 children, 14 in all. So you can imagine that there was a good deal of pushing and shoving as they hustled and bustled down the passage, trying to keep up with the swift little figure in front of them. "Come on," cried Mr. Wonka. "Get a move on, please. We'll never get around today if you dawdle like this." Soon he turned right off the main corridor into another slightly narrower passage. Then he turned left. Then he left again. Then right. Then left. Then right. Then right. Then left. The place was like a gigantic rabbit warren, with passages leading this way and that in every direction. "Don't you let go of my hand, Charlie," whispered Grandpa Joe. "Notice how all these passages are sloping downwards," called Mr. Wonka. "We're now going underground. All the most important rooms in my factory are deep down, below the surface." "Why is that?" somebody asked. "There wouldn't be nearly enough space for them all up on top," answered Mr. Wonka. "These rooms we're going to see are enormous. They're larger than football fields. No building in the world will be big enough to house them. But down here, underneath the ground, I've got all the space I want. There's no limit so long as I hollow it out." Mr. Wonka turned right. He turned left. He turned right again. The passages were sloping steeper and steeper downhill now. Then suddenly, Mr. Wonka stopped. In front of him, there was a shiny metal door. The party cried around. On the door, in large letters, it said, "The Chocolate Room." Tune in again next time as we read chapters 15 and 16. Also, make sure you scan the QR code that will take you and your family to a Google form to fill out, and your child will be entered into a drawing on Thursday morning for a prize if they are selected with the right answers. Happy reading!